Hi there, welcome. Take two with Jerry and Debbie. This is where people are talking about a different topic every day. And the show is incomplete without you and your takes. Our phone lines are open right now, as they always are. 1-800-585-9396. Debbie, we got a topic today that really should be of interest to everyone. It touches on all of our lives in a very important way.
We're talking about stewardship, tithing, giving, volunteering, time, talent, and treasure. We posted a nice little paragraph about this topic today on take2show.com. And it's important for all of us to grow in our faith, to grow spiritually, to grow in trust of God. And that's what today is all about. It's all about giving. If you have an experience about this, if the word tithing bothers you, does it bother you? See, I stopped for a second. That was that important pause to let
Dramatic
you just
pause.
Yeah, I like that. So if maybe it bothers you, that word tithing, or even stewardship, or you're not sure what stewardship's all about, call in, share your experience, your take, your opinion, your question at 1-800-585-9396.
We want to hear your takes on really how you give. We titled the show today, "Do You Give Enough? Money?" And we really want to kind of focus on financial stewardship, but we can certainly, we'll take your phone calls and your comments, your takes on how you give back to the Lord. Debbie, this is the mind-blowing reality. God gives us 100% of what we have, and he asks for 10% back. And that 10%, I mean, it's not a strict obligation. In the Old Testament, you had the tithe, which was a tenth. The church has no specific, percentage on, money or time or whatever that we give. But when you think about it, everything we have from God is from God, and he asks for just a little bit back from us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Jerry. And here's what I love about the Catholic Church. And this is what I share with people all the time, especially when I'm speaking about the fact that the Catholic Church does not require us to be a member of the church and require us to give a certain financial, threshold of giving. That's how beautiful the Catholic Church is. They rely on the generosity of all of its members to give what they can. Now, I mean, nothing against any other faiths, but, there are some denominations that do require a certain amount of giving in order to maintain, a good standing in the church. And that's fine. That's fine. And actually, to be quite honest with you, it benefits because it actually grows the church and it keeps ministries moving forward. But the Catholic Church is so beautiful because it allows all of us to use our own free will in deciding what is important and what we give back to God. Now, I just want to share real quickly, Jerry. I have to just share this. A pastor of mine years ago, and this was going back 25 years, if I may share this real quickly, I was struggling with the tithing, the giving idea, because I just really wasn't quite sure what it meant. And, is it going to really stretch us beyond our comfort zone and so on and so forth. So I heard a talk by my pastor years ago, and he talked about giving and stewardship and tithing. And when he was walking out in the parking lot going back to the rectory, I stopped him and I said, "Father, can I talk to you some more about this whole idea of tithing?" And he said, "Sure, Deb." And I remember sitting on the wall of the church, and we were sitting there. It was very late at night. And he said, "Deb, you need to stretch a little. You need to trust in God." And I said, "What do you mean? I do trust in God, Father." And he said, "No." He goes, "You need to trust in God." And I said, "Father, quite honestly, my husband and I, our jobs, we worked in insurance and we worked on commission. So we didn't have a steady income. It went up and down. It was very fluid. And at the time, we had a young child. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I can't stretch anymore." And he goes, "Deb, you need to trust." And he goes, I said, "Okay, Father, give me an amount." And he said, now this is what he said, which was really interesting. He said, "I want you to give 10% of your gross income, not your net." And I was like, "Ooh, okay." And now there's different schools of thought. Some say gross, some say net income, whatever. Okay. So I did that. I went home and I told my husband at the time, I said, okay, we need to write a check for this amount every single week. And I cannot tell you how, Jerry, how the first couple weeks, my former husband would literally shake as he was writing the check because we didn't even know if we had the money in the account. We had no idea. But Jerry, let me tell you this. Now I'm not saying that this is like some, magical thing or anything, but the trust we had, we put all our trust in God. And I will tell you, we always had the money in abundance in the account, ultimately to pay, to give to the church. We were blessed. The years we tithed that way, we were blessed in ways it was unbelievable. It was like money was coming out of everywhere to replenish what we were giving to the church. So I don't know if that can help our dear listeners, but it really is a lesson in trust.
Well, it sure is, and we've got phone lines starting to fill up right now at 1-800-585-9396, 800-585-9396. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We want to hear from you. Have you found kind of your sweet spot, I guess we could call it, in terms of giving to your parish, to your diocese, to other charitable ministries, and not just money, but time? Have you found that God has blessed you for that? And by the way, this is it can be an uncomfortable thing for people to talk, call in and say, well, here's what I do, because it's kind of like you feel like you're shining a light on yourself. But it's not an opportunity. We're not looking for, a brag fest here. We just want to hear what you do, how you kind of come out of yourself to serve others. Could be visiting people in a nursing home. Mm-hmm. It could be taking canned goods to your church to give to a homeless shelter. Maybe like Debbie just shared a minute ago, you had that trepidation. You were at that place where you said, God, I just can't give anymore. But you decided to do so anyway. Again, whether it's time, treasure, or talent. How did that work out for you? Your takes, Debbie, our listeners' takes could get somebody who's really not yet at that place to take the next step. This is so very important that people call in and share about this.
Well, we learn from one another, Jerry. I mean, this is how we grow. I mean, how do you know if you're just kind of in a vacuum in your own world and you're not seeing what other Catholic Christians are doing to foster their spiritual growth? Well, then in a way, you can be almost stuck. So that's why we need each other. Jerry, it's interesting. I know I kind of joke about it a little bit every time we do the show, but I learn, me personally, Debbie Georgiani, I learn and grow every single time we do this show because of you, dear listeners, because of the calls that come in. It inspires me to have a different way of thinking, and it allows me to expand my growth and my spiritual, journeying towards God. And that's what this ministry is all about. This radio show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, is really a ministry. It's an effort to reach all of us, the body of Christ, and to get us closer to God every single day, and to bring peace and love and joy and grace and mercy, all the things that God wants us to constantly be aware of. So, dear listeners, we're going to get ready for a break. But before we do, there's room for you. There's a couple open phone lines, and you can listen to the show live while you're waiting. You're going to speak to Matt Gabinski. He's our call screener. He's amazing. And you can listen live, and you won't miss a thing. You hear the music? There's the break. We're going to be right back. And on the other side of the break, we'll start taking your calls at 1-800-585-9396. See you in a minute.
"60 Seconds" with Mother Angelica.
Do not let your heart be troubled. Is your heart troubled? Well, what about? Well, I have my children are not in the church. We've had tragedy after tragedy in our family. This one is a born loser, never been successful in his life. This one has terrible pain, all that. So who knows Jesus? And yet our dear Lord looks at us with great love as only a friend can, a real friend, and say, don't let your hearts be troubled. And I want you to think of that. He's saying, don't let it. Now, that means you can do something about it, doesn't it, huh? He doesn't say, I'm going to help you not to let your hearts be troubled. No, he said, you don't let it trouble you.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
As always, Debbie and I want to thank you for listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We are on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Thank you, affiliates. Thank you all who carry this and other Catholic radio shows. I'm thinking, Debbie, and we'll get to your calls in just a second. Kathy, you'll be up first. I can't help but say, for those who are listening, Debbie, if you're looking for a way to maybe increase your stewardship or give for the very first time, you can't go wrong giving to EWTN or Catholic Radio, Debbie.
Way to go, Jerry. I was going to say the same thing. I mean, Catholic radio is so important. And more, so much more now than ever because of what the kind of social climate we're living in. We need the truth 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Would you consider supporting EWTN? It really helps souls every single day. So yes, please, this is amazing invitation, Jerry, an opportunity for others to support EWTN. Okay, Kathy, you're up in Denver, Colorado, listening on EWTN.com. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Great. How are
Doing
you?
well, Kathy. Thanks.
Good. You guys do such a good job. You're not married or anything, are you?
Debbie
No.
You do such a good job, not talking over each other. So thank you for
thanks.
your show.
Thank you.
You said at the beginning, it's such a beautiful thing that the church doesn't require people to give money, and I think I disagree with you. I think that we've taken the financial piece. Dave Ramsey talks about your budget, and the first thing that's on your budget is what are you giving away. And I've had so many experiences in my life with my parents' choices, with my own family's choices, with hearing stories from priests and other people that when you give, like you told your story, it comes back to you. And I feel like this is just another thing that God is asking of us, and that the church should be not afraid to speak the truth, which is that, everything comes from God, and He's asking for a small amount back. It's not just love your neighbor. It's also, in a way, to support your church or to support people in need. It's one of the main focuses of the church is to help those who are less fortunate. And I believe strongly that the truth is that if you give, it will come back to you. And that's not necessarily a reason to give, but I've heard stories about people who had no money. They didn't have a job, and a priest said, well, why don't you try giving some of your money, whatever you have, and the next day they get a call and they get a job. And so I guess my position is that, first priority has to be giving something. I like having 10% as our benchmark. It's taken us a while to get to where we're doing really 10% of our money, because my family, we really do give a lot of time to the church also. But I would just encourage people that this is a truth. This is what God has said, and we should feel as obligated to do that as we do to go to Mass every Sunday. Not just for ourselves, but to help our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, Kathy, I just want to, first of all, kudos to you and your family for what you do. And I know you didn't call in, looking for a pat on the back or anything, but I think you're an inspiration to our other listeners. And I just want to say that I think, Debbie, you made the comment earlier, so I want to defer to you in a second. But I think when we talk about the church doesn't put a set requirement, quote unquote, I think it's because this is one of the reasons anyway. And by the way, there are different precepts of the church, as they're called. There are typically 7 of those, and one is to contribute to the support of the church. Mm-hmm. But I think the idea behind not saying you must give X percent is because that's sort of giving out of compulsion, whereas I think the Lord, really God would want, and the church would want us to give really out of generosity. Because like when I pay my mortgage every month, there's no grace coming to me in that, because I'm sort of legally and contractually obligated to do that. Whereas if I give to Catholic Radio or to my parish, I'm not giving to get something back, but I'm hopeful that there is maybe grace coming to me for that. So Debbie, I don't know, you made that comment originally, and maybe you can add to what I said.
Well, actually, Jerry, there's really nothing I could add to it. You said it perfectly. And I would just like to say, Kathy, that you shared it so beautifully, your story and your wisdom about this, and I wanted to share that it is a lesson in trust. And I've spent 25 years working in Catholic parishes in the Diocese of Phoenix, and I will tell you, Kathy, that each parish has an individual way of communicating to the faithful this idea of stewardship, time, talent, and treasure, and it's unfortunately there is a struggle sometimes with trying to convey the need to give of ourselves in time and talent and treasure, especially the treasure part. Sometimes there's a struggle at the parish level. So first of all, I'd like to say what you had to say was amazing. You need to take that to your parish and maybe ask if you could be, up during Sunday masses, maybe one weekend, and pitch, your story seriously about stewardship. I think it's brilliant. The other thing I have to say on a personal note is, if you'd like to go to Georgiani.com, you can actually see a picture of my real husband. Not my radio partner, Jerry Usher, but my real husband, Marty Georgiani. You can see that I am married to someone else, and but Jerry and I are like I feel like we're brother and sister. We've shared a lot. We've had a lot of similar life experiences. We're in the same age bracket, and Jerry's a little older than me. But
thank you.
But, we've shared so much. We came from big families. And so I really, he is the brother I wish, I love my brothers, my birth, the ones that my siblings, but if I could pick a brother, I would definitely pick Jerry Usher. So thank you. Seriously, thank you for that comment. Okay, last thing real quickly, because I'm on a roll. Kathy, you would be a blast to have conversations with during the pilgrimage. And so if you haven't checked it out yet, because you're in the Denver area, your Archbishop is going on our pilgrimage. Check out vocationboom.com. Look at the pilgrimage that we're going on at the end of the year, because you and your husband would be so much fun to be with on the pilgrimage. So, and thank you for calling in.
To my pastor, Father Michael Polakovich, he's at Light of the World in Denver, and he is not afraid to talk about people's responsibility. He actually did a sermon where he said, if you have $1, put it in the collection. If you need $1, take it out. And he was absolutely serious, and you could have heard a pin drop. And in the 8 years I've been there, he has completely turned the parish around financially and as far as being able to help people in our community. So he's an inspiration for me, and I think for all of our parishioners in that aspect.
Thanks, Kathy, for your phone call. Awesome contribution to the show. Please call again sometime, will you? And Debbie, that story of her pastor, that is amazing. That shows incredible trust and generosity. And when you get that kind of example from our church leaders, it can't help but engender generosity in the rest of us. 1-800-585-9396. How do you give of yourself, your time, your talent, your treasure? And have you found it challenging? Has God blessed you in return? Maybe you've touched some lives incredibly. Let us know here at 1-800-585-9396. Mara is next, calling from San Antonio, Texas, listening on Sirius XM 130. Mara, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello
Hi.
there, Mara. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I was just calling to respond to the call to service. And you're right, it is hard to speak of the things that you do without thinking, okay, I'm looking for kudos or something like that. But my husband and I's experience with going outside of our comfort zone and serving in our parish community with the teenagers has been overwhelmingly blessed-filled and positive. And it's one of those things that when you serve in a capacity like that, you are renewed hope in just in our Catholic faith and in the things that are going on that we don't get to hear about often enough, about the good things. And we have, for the past 6 years, led a mission trip for teenagers at our church. And the beautiful children and teenagers that we have in our Catholic faith is just a testament to where our church is going. But it's just fed us so much. And in giving of ourselves in that way, we have been so encouraged. And, you know, we all need that in this time. And so I just wanted to share the immense blessings that can come from going outside of yourself and doing something that might push you a little bit beyond what you think you can do, and just let God take it. And so we've gotten to experience the lives of the generation coming up and how beautiful it is, and it's just very inspiring to us and reassuring that our church is in good hands. So we like to share that as much as we can, because we just feel that it's good to hear the good things about our kids and our teenagers coming up. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Mara. And because you know that if you've been listening to the show, my heart has always been with teen ministry. That's where I got my start. That's where I did my master's thesis in adolescent spirituality. And so I couldn't agree more. I mean, to be able to journey with our teens and our youth, it's an incredible gift. And you bring up a really good point. I want to share something about ministry. Giving is giving, and that's the whole idea behind time, talent, and treasure. If you're giving of your time, you're giving. If you're giving of your treasure, you're giving. If you're giving of your talent, you're giving. And the idea is to give back to God what He has given us so abundantly. And Mara, I couldn't agree with you more, because there's a lot of people I meet that they are very apprehensive of getting involved in ministry, because I've heard people say to me all the time, they're like, Deb, I'm not signing up for that ministry, because the next thing you know, you're going to have me on 5 boards and you're going to have me in 5 ministries, and I'm not going to do that. And you know, that's not really the case. And you know, everybody has the choice to say what they want to be part of and what they don't. And here's the other thing. When you catch the ministry bug, you tend to stay in it somehow, because it really is just beautiful, like you shared, Mara. And I'm so glad you called in today, because you allowed me to remember that and to share that with all our listeners. And Jerry, did you want to jump in?
No, I think you were right on the money there, because I think that call and what Mara was saying, as you said, Debbie, fit in perfectly with your past experience. So, Mara, was there anything else you wanted to tag on to that before we let you go?
No, that's it. I just wanted to encourage everybody to go out there and get involved in what God is calling them to do, because it absolutely brings blessings to you and your family in the process. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mara. Keep us on your radio and keep us in your prayers if you would. And I really think that, the first 2 calls, Kathy and Mara, Debbie, that, their attitudes about this and their families really manifests a spiritual maturity. And I think that this is probably, the saying has been said, Debbie, I know you've heard it and many of our listeners have as well, that you can tell a lot about a person's relationship with God by looking at the checkbook register. Seeing what you'd never heard that before?
No, I never have. That's interesting.
Yeah, looking at, what do you spend your money on? If there are entries, and nowadays it's not even checkbook registers, because I feel a little bit awkward when I go to Mass every week, because I don't put anything in the basket. That's because I have the auto pay thing for my parish. So that was a little bit awkward getting used to that. But I really, and I'm not saying that, I have any great spiritual maturity, but I think in general, Debbie, it's definitely a sign that we have that deeper relationship with God if we trust Him to the point where we're going to give, maybe even till it stretches us a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That's interesting about you don't put anything in. So did you ever feel awkward, like when the basket's passing? Like, do you do that, like, fake drop-in thing, or what?
No, but I just there's still too many people, that put $1 in just so that they don't have the embarrassment of not participating in the collection, I guess. Right. But hey, who's to judge? Maybe they're giving on the auto pay, or maybe they give hundreds of thousands to the church. God only, it's really a personal thing, and we want to hear your takes on this. More of your calls on the other side of this break. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN.
Think of all the media our young people are exposed to today. MTV, movies, what passes for entertainment on TV, song lyrics that are questionable or worse. Where do they hear the message that it's okay to be chaste and modest, or that it's not crazy to practice their faith, or to believe in a God who loves them and can forgive them no matter what they do? Catholic Radio is the answer. Be sure to tell your friends and relatives about the positive programming that you hear here on Catholic Radio.
Hi, this is Joan Lewis. In my work here at the Vatican, I'm blessed to speak with all kinds of people every day, from visitors to Rome, to Vatican officials, even to the Pope. And every week on our EWTN program, Vatican Insider, I'll share their stories with you. We'll bring you the latest news from Rome. We'll talk with Vatican leaders and newsmakers, and we'll answer your questions. So don't miss Vatican Insider this weekend, right here on the EWTN radio network. For times in your area, go to EWTN.com and click on radio.
I kind of blamed the Catholic Church why I didn't get it before, but I was so wrong. I've come to realize that it was through the 12 years of Catholic education that I recognized God when He came into my life. And I want to really encourage EWTN, that you guys make a lot of sense.
EWTN's listener comment line. It's open now. Call 205-795-5773.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about live events, special features, and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss a minute of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Today we're talking about time, talent, and treasure. Tithing, stewardship, really anything you want to talk about those topics. You can call in right now. There is an open phone line, and I think it has your name on it, 1-800-585-9396. I just want to share, Jerry, real quickly. Yesterday's show, we had just an amazing amount of brand new phone calls to Catholic Radio, and that is so encouraging. So, dear listeners, if you've been listening for a while and you're thinking, maybe I wonder what the experience is like, it seems like all those brand new calls we had yesterday, they enjoyed it, and they're going to be calling back again. Also, too, we do this really cool thing on Take Two. We do these short takes, and it's a little snippet of the show, today's show, and we put it on Facebook so that others can kind of get a little glimpse of the show. So you may be, if you call in, you may be one of those lucky calls that is able to be on our short take, and it's kind of exciting. You can tell your friends and family members that you're on the short take of Take Two at Facebook, EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're trying to hit that 3,000 mark, so we need you to do that. Okay. I did all the housekeeping, Jerry. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll take us to our next caller. That would be LK in Carmel, Indiana, listening on Catholic Radio, Indianapolis. LK, is it, forgive me, I should know this. Is it Carmel or Carmel, Indiana? Carmel, right?
Well, they say it's Carmel by the sea and it's Carmel by the corn.
Oh, Carmel by the corn.
And I'm by the corn, so it's Carmel.
You sure are. Well, what's your take on this topic today, LK?
Well, as I was telling your screener, I made my cursil, and I then asked to sponsor some guys at Parish, and one of the guys, he's older than me, 74, I sponsored him, and bottom line was he ended up losing his license for not having insurance and driving without his license a couple of different times, and it's been a year now that he's not had a license, and it started off, I was just taking him when it was convenient for me, mostly, when I go to basketball Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5 in the morning, and we go to 6:30 Mass. I know he wants to go to Mass, so I've been taking him, but it's been a year now, over a year, my wife says I'm enmeshed, and I say, you've gone above and beyond the call of duty here. And I have at times, taken them to the bank and stuff, gone out of my way to do it, where I probably really maybe couldn't have, shouldn't have, whatever. I'm not sure. But I can tell you that I know I have a giving heart because I just finished my Meals on Wheels. I do a lot of different things. But God pays you back immediately, and if nothing more, just with peace of mind, peace of heart, but actually financially paid me back. I'm a broker, and I'll just go real quick. I was kind of in a hole about a $2,000 refund that I was going to have to do that I didn't have the money to do, and I said, "Come on, God, you've got to help me out." And this isn't the first time I've asked him for help either. Well, bottom line was he came through with an order for me that there's no way I should have gotten it. I won't take up all your time, but the bottom line was I got $3,500, the biggest commission I've ever gotten in my broker business, and that was $1,000 more, $1,500 more than I was asking for, and I'm absolutely certain that it was God's intervention, because the reason I got it was on eBay, and the guy that had it on eBay, another buyer, one of the guys I sell to, was going to buy it. Well, the guy went on vacation, forgot to end it. The guy who was going to buy it forgot it was on there, and I got it for the minimum bid. There's no way I should have gotten it for a $3,000, $3,500 commission. Only God can make that happen.
Right.
And I'm convinced that, at least for me, I'm convinced it's because I've given of time, and not big stuff, just little stuff all the time.
Right.
If there's anything I could tell people, it's that when the basket comes by at your fraternal organization and they're looking for a donation, put $1 or $2 in there. Don't just think, oh, everybody always wants money. God wants someone with a giving heart. It doesn't really matter how much you give. It's just that you do give. That's my feeling.
Exactly. LK, I want to just hang on the phone a bit, because I want to just talk to you a couple things that you said. First of all, the Cursillo movement is such an amazing program, and I highly encourage, if you've never pursued Cursillo, please look into it and see if it works for you and your spouse. The men go first if you're married, and then the wife follows. So it's a beautiful program, and it really has helped a lot. So the other thing I wanted to share, LK, if I can, is that you were talking about a giving heart, a servant's heart, and you went the extra mile, for that other a gentleman. And here's the thing that's cool about it, and it's just no criticism of your wife, but it's just a common thing that spouses will do, because I know, like, when my husband has a very giving heart too, and he'll go the extra mile to the point of where he could get very exhausted, and I'll say, honey, you don't have to do that, you don't have to go that extra mile. And that's just a common thing that happens in relationships, that we kind of are very protective of our own, and there's no criticism of that. But here's the cool thing: what happened, LK, is that you desired to just go with your heart on it and let it play out. And look how it played out. God's blessing flowed back to you. And it flowed back to you in a miraculous way for you personally. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to everybody, but here's the really cool thing about it. Let me guess this, LK. When you were helping that gentleman, you weren't thinking of yourself at all, were you?
He couldn't drive, and he needed somebody to take him. So it's just something I can drive. He's not that far away, and I do. I really am. That's just how I was made. I get in trouble all the time for doing more than I should. People can take advantage of me fairly easily. Let's put it that way.
Well, and see, that's why your wife is protective, and rightly so, and it should be. But in this particular case, what I was trying to get at, LK, is when you were helping this gentleman, you knew you could drive. He couldn't. Okay, but what I'm saying is you probably weren't thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to help this guy drive because someday, I'm going to get something paid back to me. I mean, that's right, exactly. And so a giver's heart, a servant's heart, is really there in a Christ-like moment. And I have to tell you, LK, in the 25 years I've been doing ministry, I can't even begin to tell you the countless testimonies I have heard of people that have said that when they've encountered a person that has a true servant's heart, a true giving heart, it has lasted with them forever. So I just want to say, way to go. I mean, I think that is beautiful because you inspired all of us today, but I'm sure you really inspired that gentleman as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, LK, for the phone call. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Do you do things like LK was just talking about right there? Maybe you find yourself doing favors, visiting those who have no one to visit them. There are so many. The church talks about the corporal works of mercy, and those are so important. So we're talking about giving of our time, our talent, our treasure. How has that gone for you in your life? 1-800-585-9396. Deb?
I wanted to just share something because it made me think when LK was talking. I know I've shared this before on Catholic radio, but I just want to share it again. When I was in ministry and I had small children at home, and I had a very wise priest tell me one time, Deb, you need to be when you're giving to the church, you need to give of your excess. You can't constantly go into your reserves, your emotional, physical, and spiritual reserves, because it'll actually drain you, and you really give of your excess. So the idea in ministry is you want to build yourself up spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, and then give of your excess, because that is, God is not requiring you to stress yourself out in order to give to the church. But, when I was in ministry, my children were taken care of by my mom. She was my babysitter. And I remember my mom one time saying to me as I was walking out the door to teach a class, and she had my children, and she was taking care of them because my former husband worked at nights. She would say to me, she would say, I'm kind of jealous. You're going off to do God's work, and I'm here with the kids. And I said, Mom, you're doing God's work. Because if you weren't here with the kids, I wouldn't be able to go teach the class. And I know that, and it's true, ministry is a joint effort by everybody who partakes in it. Your babysitter, the person that's driving, the bus driver, whatever. Everybody participates in ministry. And so just keep that in mind. Like if you're helping out your daughter or your son so that they can do ministry work, that's a ministry in and of itself. So I just wanted to share that real quickly.
All right. Mary in Rochester has been holding patiently, listening on the Station of the Cross. So we go to Mary next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hello, Mary. How are you?
Good. Meet me, Mary.
Yeah, thanks for your patience on the line there. So how do you approach this topic, Mary?
Well, so I used to give of my time, and like Debbie, my children weren't little, and I just thought about that. My mom used to watch them when I would go and do ministry. It was a ministry called Spiritual Life in our parents, and I loved doing it. And it did take a lot of my time, but then I enjoyed it. But then I got a different job, which takes me on the road a lot, and I'm on the road right now. And I found myself not able to give up my time. So I've been trying to make sure that I give of my treasure, because of course the job also increased my salary, and so I felt I should do that. So I give to the collection basket. I don't give a tenth. I don't. I struggle with that. I do want to pray about that more and see about doing that. But what I do is I live with my elderly father, who gets inundated with missionary things. So we get all kinds of beautiful cards and little rosaries and holy cards and all worthy causes of a lot of they're all Catholic as well, because we try to support the Catholic Church, and also because we know so many of them are good, and some of these other ones that you get, with that are secular, you're never quite sure that the money is going to the cause. But so we give to that, and then I also give to Catholic Radio, our local station, and then I give monthly to EWTN, and then I also have an African child through a Catholic organization that I sponsor, again, on a monthly basis. So it's taken right out of all three things are just taken right out of my checking account. So I know that that's done. I don't have to think about it. But all these other ones that come in, it's difficult because I don't know how to discern which ones you should send to, because, I mean, really, we get them every day. And then here's the other thing I didn't know if you might have an opinion on is, what do you do with them when you don't, you get these, say, free things, maybe little cards or address labels, or things, that these organizations, it costs money for them to print out, but then, you can't throw them in the garbage, but, at some point, honestly, I'm becoming overrun with them in my home. And I just wondered if you had any idea about that.
Well, actually, Mary, I do, because my mother gets inundated with organizations as well. So we've kind of formed a system, and I'll be happy to share that with you in just a minute. But Mary, you said you were on the road. Do you have hands free and a seatbelt on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just check.
Beware anybody who calls while you're driving. Beware, Debbie's gonna get you with that.
Yes,
but
I'm got you on speaker, and I'm got my seatbelt on.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Well, Mary, first of all, I just want to thank you on behalf of your local Catholic radio station, the Station of the Cross, and EWTN for your generous support, that you are a consistent supporter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are changing lives. It's an eternal gift to people. You probably won't hear or see the gift until you get to heaven, but you're probably going to see thousands around you saying thank you. So just wanted to say that. Okay, so here's my recipe, and I don't know if this is going to work, and I hope I'm not opening up a can of worms for people in the post office, but this is what I do. Mary, I have contacted a lot of the organizations that my mother gets inundated with. And I said, I just want to thank you for your ministry work. Thank you so much. Please, my mother is 84 years old. She is receiving calendars and blankets and this and that and all these things. And we don't want to, just like you said, Mary, throw them in the garbage. And my mother has picked the charities she wants to give to, the ones that are really deep in her heart that she wants to give to. And we ask that you can, take us off the list. And that most of them have been amazingly wonderful. Now, I will tell you, the ones that continuously send, I write a really nice return to sender on the outside of the envelope, and I say, return to sender, please take us off the list. We're praying for you that your ministry grows, but please take us off the list, and that has helped tremendously too. Now, I've been told that the post office says they're not crazy about that, but I've never had one, I want to send the materials back, because sometimes we get things like, one time we got a blanket that was absolutely gorgeous, and there's no way I'm going to keep that. And, and then kind of guilt my mother into giving when she has already picked the charitable organizations. So I don't know if that helps, Mary, but I know Jerry wanted to add something too. But Mary, does that help at all?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. Very helpful.
All right.
Thank you.
Mary, thank you for the call. Appreciate that. 1-800-585-9396. Debbie, this show, we call it Take Two because we like to take a fresh, sometimes unique look at issues like this. I'm going to throw this out for consideration, and that is we could actually give of our time, talent, and treasure to the point where we're outside of God's will. I know that kind of sounds a little bit shocking sometimes. But here's an example. I have hosted Catholic radio pledge drives where people have called in 3, 4, 5 times to make pledges, and the station manager has to tell them, look, thank you so much for your support, but and I don't know why. They have some sort of guilt or compulsion or something. They hear we're short of a goal this hour, and they think, well, I've got to help, and several hours later, we're, short of a goal trying to make it at the end. Well, I've got to run to the rescue, and really we have to give within our means. And so I think there's a fine line here. Many of us need to grow further in our spiritual maturity to the point where we're giving where God would have us give. But Deb, I just throw that notion out there that we could actually, I think, go beyond what God would have us do. We can jeopardize our family's finances, or, take ourselves away from our family and our other obligations by some of the things we get involved in. So anyway, for what it's worth, I just toss that out there.
I think it was important that you said that, Jerry, because I actually recall a lot of situations during pledge drives where that has happened. And it's sad, I don't know, I can't really speak for you, Jerry, but I think I know where your heart lies in this, is that it saddens us that somebody would feel the need to have to pledge 5 and 6 times. I mean, if we all did our part, if we all, you always say, Jerry, you say it on pledge drives. I love the way you say it, that we're all a family and everybody does their part, whatever, they can do. We'll make the goal. We will keep Catholic radio going strong if everybody does their part. So, give your 100%, whatever that is, and then it'll all work. I mean, no matter, and we often say in pledge drives, we've had people call up and they say, I've got, $10, but you probably don't need it. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all goes into the pot, and it helps, spread the message. And let me share something else, dear listeners. Catholic radio, to be on the air for an hour of programming, they've, chipped away at everything to make it very affordable on radio. So when you're giving, $10, $15, it goes a long way. Sometimes it's a half hour of programming. That's a lot of programming. Think how many souls can be touched by that.
All right, we're going to go back to your phone calls to Des Moines, Iowa. Kara, listening on Iowa Catholic Radio. Kara, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
Great.
Doing well today. Thank you.
Good. This is my first time calling in, and I am
awesome.
actually, so thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I came back to the Catholic faith approximately 5 years ago, and I am just starting to get settled in again and feeling very positive about many things. But I will share this, and hopefully this will bring comfort to other listeners out there. I am a single woman, and I am somewhat limited on what I can do financially for the church. And I feel like God has placed me in people's lives. I truly believe why he placed me on this earth is to help other people. And it's not necessarily financially or going and cooking them a meal. It's simply me sitting here and listening to others. And I just feel so blessed. It just seems like God has placed many people in my life. People are kind of drawn to me in the aspect of that she'll listen. And I listen with a very caring and open and loving heart. And I feel that's the way I give back, and how God will want all of us to do that. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses and our talents, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts that God has put me on this earth to do that for other people and really listen to what they have to say, because not everyone has someone close they can talk to and really listen to them.
Yeah, Kara, the core principle is give what you have to give. Mm-hmm. And I would say this, you are, unfortunately, I think you are in a very small minority of people today who have the ability and the willingness to actually listen to other people. And I think this is one of the most important things, and it's in such short supply, to be able to actually listen. What is going on in your life? What is on your heart? What are you going through? Rather than, so many times I've seen people, they'll listen for a few seconds and you can just tell they're just so anxious to start telling you, about them and their life and everything that's going on. So, Debbie, I'm sure you agree that the ability to listen, the art of listening, is so very, very needed in our day. And I think Kara's, found a great way to give by doing that.
Well, Kara, you're in ministry. You're ministering to another faithful, and you're ministering to, you're being Christ to that person. So you are doing exactly what Mother Teresa has always said to do. So, Kara, way to go. You're in ministry, and I'm sure it sounds like from the joy in your voice that you're loving it. And I just want to say thank you again for being a brand new call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and welcome back to the church. 5 years. Wow,
Amen.
Kara, we're so glad you're with us. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, Kara.
Thank you. Right back to you guys, and just blessings. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kara. We're going to go to Diana in Rochester, another Station of the Cross listener. Thank you for tuning in, Diana, and thank you for calling. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks to Matt. I just wanted to talk about something that is kind of, I'm not sure if other people have this issue, but I was born in 87, and I graduated in the class of 2009 from my college, and I have a lot of student debt, and a lot of people that are my same age group are dealing with the same thing, unless they had more fortunate situations. And I'm over $100,000 in debt. And my bachelor's hasn't given me much. And my husband, on the other hand, has been able to provide amply for us without even a bachelor's. And he just got his bachelor's, but now he's taken a severe pay cut with a different job. Mm-hmm. And, just right now I'm kind of in a volunteering position with my diocese. I technically work, but the amount of money that I pay for somebody to take care of my children, I actually end up spending money to work. So I guess it's like a volunteer thing, and that's the only reason why I did it. But, my whole position, I'm a lot more like Debbie in the sense that, I want to give 10%. I want to give it growth. I want to do it blindly and lovingly. And my husband is a lot more hesitant, and I'm just trying to find a balance between what to do and what not to do. And I have one person telling me we have to pay the debt because, it's all over the Bible that, we have to pay our debtors. And then on the other hand, I just want to give to God. So we've come up with a couple of different ideas, but what were any ideas, any takes on what you do with debt?
Well, yeah, you make a good point. Sorry, Deb, I might have jumped in there on you, but I think it's Proverbs 22:7 talks about the borrower is the slave of the lender. And Kara, I can tell you, I worked through my own my educational debt, and it seemed like it was endless. It just goes on. And quite frankly, and this really touches upon, I have a ministry apart from this show called Vocation Boom, and educational debt is stifling men and women from becoming, entering the seminary and the convent, among many other things, not to mention family life. And so this really, you're touching upon something very important, Debbie. I would say for Kara, make it an absolute priority to get that debt paid off, because that really is stewardship to your family and putting you in, I think, a healthier position to be able to then maybe do more after that. Deb, what are your thoughts?
Well, and Diana, it's actually Diana, and we're down to a minute left to the show. Diana, so if you can email us at take2@EWTN.com, I'll share some other thoughts about your comments, but I just want to say, Diane, if you and your husband could start praying the rosary, if you haven't already done that, please start praying the rosary together. You will see and feel things happening immediately. My takeaway today, Jerry, is trust in God, and give of your time, talent, and treasure. How about you?
My takeaway is we've got a lot of generous people listening to this show. Thank you all for tuning in. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Catholics and alcohol, drinking. How should we approach that often very sensitive topic on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie? Be sure you call in with your takes tomorrow. Have a beautiful and blessed day.